Alrighty, so Best Years of Our Lives. It's a 1946 film. It is a romantic, kind of an epic drama, which highlights the return of three different veterans home and the struggles that they face in returning home. We follow our three vets, Fred, Al, and Homer, each of who have something going on within them as an effect of the war. Fred, we see, has intense PTSD and nightmares, especially at nighttime. We also see that due to the fact that he did not have a lot of work experience before going into the war, he now struggles to get a job. He also struggles due to the fact that the woman that he married sort of quickly has spent up all of his money and really wants nothing to do with him. So we see the character of Al Stevenson when he returns home, and he's kind of not so much got it made, but he's in a little bit better of a financial situation than Fred is because he's got this bank position waiting for him than he had before. As well as this, he's got a family to greet him. That's something that Fred did not get. At least not from his wife. But we do see Al kind of slip, and his main challenge, I think, would be the alcoholism. And, his poor family, they just want to make him comfortable, with his re-arrival back to, like, civilian life. And so we see his drinking, like, get out of control, and it not only affects his family, but it also affects, his position at the bank as well. And, I'll also kind of go off in this direction and talk about his wife, who I chose to kind of speak about in terms of female characters, because while we see that, party girl, gold digger, didn't really sign up for all of this heaviness lifestyle from Marie, and, we kind of see that younger mindset, like, oh, I'm romance focused with Peggy. With Al's wife, Millie, we kind of see how the matriarch has to stay strong and, be stable, despite everything kind of being chaotic. And, it kind of seems like where everyone else can kind of falter and, mess up, she has to stay strong, like, for the family unit. Like, without her, with Al's drinking and, Peggy kind of going off and, being a little bit risky, and kind of her focus being in I don't want to say odd, but you know what I mean? It's in an area where how important truly is it? You know what I mean? To the film, yes, it's important. But when looking at this, like, if you would look at a regular family, like, mom's got to keep it together. And so with Millie, I think that we see that, strength and the way that, the effects of what happens to the veterans really, comes down the line. And it's not only the veterans that are, dealing with the aftermath of all of this. It's, the people closest to them as well. And our final veteran in the best years of our lives that we meet and kind of see is the character of Homer, who, high school athlete, nuclear family, girl next door love story. Unfortunately, he loses his hands and causes him to be disabled. And with that disability, he's kind of worried about, what do people think of me? And of course, what will Wilma, his next door neighbor who he's in a relationship with, what will she think of him? And, we kind of see more so with him the shame of what he's been through and the shame of, having lost his hands and the worry that comes with that of, do people actually love me? Do people actually respect me? Or is every look that I get from now on going to be one of pity? And luckily we see Wilma, of course, letting him know, like, hey, no, I love you for you, and I made this, like, commitment to you, and I'm sticking by you, regardless of anything. And so we kind of wrap up the movie in a way where everybody's healing, in one way or the other. We see Homer and Wilma get married. We see Fred, who divorces Marie, finally end up being able to communicate with Peggy again. They kiss at the end of the movie. Everybody seems to just all around, like, get to a good spot. And that leads me into talking about, like, the fact that this movie, being in the era that it's made in, how wild it is for it to be, so soon after the war, so critical. I was unfamiliar with this movie before watching it in the class. I did not know that it even existed because, yeah, you look back and you see Forrest Gump, you know what I mean? Major movie kind of showing the effects of, like, the Vietnam War, and you see all the talks about how it was a war we shouldn't have been in. But you don't really hear that from World War II because we were the heroes. We, you know what I mean, did such good things. But there were real consequences that came with the war. And, it's true. A lot of times people will look past that due to the fact that it was necessary and the things that we did, we had to do. And be that, as it is, whatever, there are real consequences that people have to live with, and accidents and mistakes, from these wars. And so I was shocked. I was surprised, but I think that it is important, especially for it to have come out in that era, the representation, like, yeah, people have to come back from that, awful things that they went through in protecting the country. And they weren't, what I mean, always protected with job or finance, or they didn't always have people to rely on who viewed them as this, big hero. No, the celebration doesn't last forever. You have to return back to normal life. So yeah, it was really shocking to watch the movie, and it was really shocking to see it, but I think that it's so important, and I think that's why it's so critically acclaimed, is because it addresses something that a lot of people don't want to look at when looking at World War II. When we look at Face in the Crowd, which is a 1957 satirical drama, I think that the Bizarro World Andy Griffith situation is so accurate, because yeah, the entire time that you watch it, you're like, Andy, what are we doing? But I think that when you take this film and you kind of ask the question of, well, how does it show the type of people that succeed in American life? I think that regardless of what side anybody sits on, I think this is a prevalent problem now. And it's funny to be able to watch the film and see, like, kind of how there are a lot of people who seem to rise the ranks purely on the gift of the gab. Like, we've got individuals in power right now who, due to their ability to have suave conversation skills, they have surpassed any sort of foundation that we have had in the country. Not to get any type of way, but I think that it shows, like, yeah, that's a real issue. More so now than I think before, because, we've seen the rise and fall of, kind of the American dream. You can't just go in somewhere, get a job due to your experience, and go higher. It's all about knowing somebody and really how likable you are and your ability to smooth talk. It's just so funny to see a film in this era kind of tackle that issue. A Face in a Crowd, it really just highlights something that I think has become more and more of a problem, where you can't just authentically do your best and be the best. We've all kind of been fed that dream all our lives, and it's one that I don't think is a sustainable one. So yeah, I think that we've seen, more so now than ever, 9 times out of 10, the smooth talker who knows a guy who, can BS like no other, is going to have more opportunity than someone who might not know anybody, but is more skilled and has more expertise than anyone in the field. So I think that it is, like, a really funny, but not funny, example of something that has become an epidemic, really, in society nowadays. So yeah, kind of when watching these movies and seeing, that Hollywood perfect 1950s life kind of broke down, it's just really eye-opening. It kind of shows you, like, with censorship and with the way that society worked at the time, like, it's all about being squeaky clean. Let's not look at the issues, and we push the issues down. All we can do to really bring the issues up is to, either make it a romantic drama or make it a satirical, oh, this could never happen sort of situation. And but yeah, I think that both films really serve a great purpose, and that yeah, they were super good watches and real eye openers, honestly, at the end of the day.